Okay, well, new record highs, and I think it's a nice moment to get in Arvind Sanger, managing partner at Geosphere Capital. He's with us here in our Mumbai studios, all the way from New York. Thanks very much, Arvind. It's good to see you in person. We always have these early morning chats over the line, but great to have you here. Arvind, I mean, record highs, and it's almost as if nothing happened. Last week and last Tuesday specifically it did not happen, but it did happen. So it was a bit of a mini heart attack, and then the market moved on. The momentum is very, very strong. What do you make of it? And your prognosis for the near to medium term?
Well, look, the best news from the market standpoint is continuity. And if I may be, delve into the political arena, which is not my specialty, it looks like the government is going to be more focused on the economic side, and they may have less ability to do some of the social agenda. So that means economics becomes even more important as a kind of a focus for the Prime Minister and the coalition. And I think, I know everybody talks about the big four from a cabinet standpoint. I would say the big three from an investor standpoint would be the finance minister, which really is finance minister plus the PMO. Right. And then you have the commerce minister, and then you have the roads and surface transport. And I think infrastructure is important, fiscal discipline is important, and the Make in India, PLI, all of that is going on, that is important. But there are many other elements of the story. I think one of the missing pieces of the story is when do the private sector capex show up? I mean, we've been all talking about it, waiting for Godot, it feels like, in terms of private sector capex, but hopefully that is also going to show up. But I think so, the market's valuations are not cheap. That is the challenge.
Mm. Arvind, before we talk about markets, you were at the India-Pakistan game as well. How was it? Scintillating as ever. And I am hoping that you're here briefly in India and you're going to be back, in New York, and India will lift the World Cup. So I hope you get to witness that.
Well, it won't be unfortunately, the next matches after this round, the Super 8s are not in New York.
Oh.
But it's a short flight away. You can definitely
I'm going to Barbados for the Super 8s. I may be going, and then, or whatever it's called, the next round.
Right.
And then we'll see. But the Caribbean and, and so I'm excited. We got to watch the stadium in New York, 34,000 people, which is a temporary stadium.
Yep.
Is larger than the stadium in Barbados, I think, where the finals are going to be, which is 28,000. So they did a fantastic job.
Made in just 3 months.
Yeah, it was a fantastic field. And actually, what I liked about it, I'm not a big T20 fan when it becomes 6s and 4s all over. This is where the bowlers were involved. So it was a much more interesting match.
Interesting game.
That's so much more interesting than, the NTPCs and the other things that we speak about, right? But
that's right.
That is something that we have to speak about anyway, because you said, the focus on the economy-facing sectors will continue more than consumer welfare schemes, etc. Would you still back the infra themes? And if yes, what are the names that you like there?
Well, we've played the infra theme more from the people like the steel and the cement and other construction-related companies. Mm-hmm. I think that the infra theme, there are other angles to it which we're looking at. Do we look at specific niches in the infra theme? There are companies coming public now which are in the renewable kind of infra build-out, because there's going to be a big build-out in not just solar and wind, but hydrogen, all of the other stuff. Mm. So in terms of infra, that is interesting. The whole green economy, which I think over the next 5 years could be interesting, although there's a lot of froth in some of the valuations, there are opportunities in some of the some of that. So I think there are themes that we're looking at that are medium to long term good, but the challenge in India is finding value at a reasonable price.
What about real estate? This cement player as well comes into this real estate, and some believe maybe we're still starting off in that 10-year cycle that we've seen. How do you approach real estate names here in India? Some of them have done well, but yet some of them, case in point being a DLF, they're still not at the peak that we saw more than 10, 15 years ago.
I think we own a couple of real estate stocks. There's obviously the REITs that are there, which again, if the interest rate cycle is going to turn favorable, and the office occupancy took a dip and now has started to recover, that's one aspect to it. But the residential real estate cycle, I think, has a lot of room to run. And so the question is, do we go to NCR versus Bangalore versus Mumbai? And right now our exposure is to Mumbai, but I'm going to Bangalore, and I think that could be an interesting play. Delhi DLF we have owned in the past, we don't right now, but I think this is a national real estate cycle which I think has a lot of room to run. But I think the more interesting thing to us is trying to find, yes, real estate will play, but the whole financialization, real estate going to be as boom? When you had the last boom, real estate was the thing where a lot of savings went. So there's the financialization of the economy, which creates other sectors. But yeah, real estate will be.
So Mumbai would be what? Oberoi, Godrej?
Oberoi, Godrej, Lodha, these are all plays on Mumbai.
Yeah.
Arvind, power is a space. Do you have any thoughts? I mean, we're seeing power cuts in NCR. I mean, of course, here in Mumbai, things have cooled down a little bit. But I mean, over the last many weeks outside of Mumbai, you're getting reports of Pune, for example, was facing power cuts. And the one big source of power demand is going to be cooling. And that, I mean, if trends and forecasts are to be believed, it's going to get hotter and hotter. I mean, power as a theme. And where do you look for ideas here?
Okay, so there are 2 or 3 ways to play it. One is, like you said, cooling. So air conditioning companies are interesting as a play. But in terms of the power sector, I think there are many ways to play it. Do we play it coal companies in India? Do I play it coal companies globally? India is going to need coal-fired thermal power. Unfortunately, yes, we like the solar and the wind stories, and we are looking at that area in terms of infrastructure build-out. But in terms of the biggest challenge, no matter what we talk about, climate change, is India is going to have more thermal power. Because at 7 o'clock in the evening, the power prices go through the roof because of the shortage of investment in thermal power. So, whether it is the coal companies like a Coal India, or it is NTPC or NHPC, which has had delays on its projects on the hydro side, there are those ones. There are the private sector ones. But I think power as a theme, India is going to have double-digit steel demand growth, close to double-digit cement demand growth, and close to double-digit power growth for the foreseeable future if this economy is going to continue to grow.
Speak about some new sectors emerging as investable opportunities. Is there anything new that you've put your money in right now?
Well, I wouldn't. I hope to come up with some new ideas on this trip. It's just I've just sat down 1 day of meetings, but my assumption is that.
Okay, let's put it this way: who are you meeting? So we get a sense.
Well, I met yesterday with the companies in a couple of companies in the solar space. I'm meeting companies in technology, in domestic healthcare, domestic-facing healthcare companies, and so the goal is to meet companies that will benefit from. I think healthcare as a theme, post-COVID, we had a little boom and we've had a little comeback. But I think domestic-facing healthcare rather than the conventional pharma companies is of great interest to us. There's disintermediation taking place in the fragmented distribution system, the fragmented retailing system. That's an area of interest to us. Technology companies that are doing innovative things that are India companies, not just an IT outsourcing story. These are some of the areas that we're looking at which could be interesting, which are not the conventional ways that people play the large cap liquid, Infosys, TCS type of names. So we're looking at more domestic economy rather than just the export facing economy.
Right, your phone was ringing. Maybe that's the next meeting. Thank you very much for joining us. Great conversation, and do visit us next time you're here. And in the meantime, we'll chat with you down that line from New York. Thank you very much, and have an enjoyable visit.